Okay, so let's start. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Decoding the Great Indian Festival Strategies to Drive Sales. I'm Seja Malhotra, and I'll be guiding you through this exciting session where we'll be discussing data driven strategies and actionable insights to help brands leverage Amazon's platform and maximize their success during the Great Indian Festival. Before we begin, a quick brief. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the question and answer section, and we'll address them during the panel discussion. We'll also be launching a few interactive polls throughout the session, so do participate and share your input. Now, let's dive in. We have an amazing lineup of speakers today who bring a wealth of experience and expertise to help you supercharge your strategies for this year's Great Indian Festival. Before we start, we are going to launch some questions in the form of a poll. So we will be launching the first poll. Okay. So question 1. How long have you been advertising on Amazon? Option number 1, more than 1 year. Option number 2, 6 months to 1 year. Option number 3, less than 6 months. Okay. Okay. Thank you for participating. So we will launch another question. So question 2. How much do you spend on Amazon ads per month? More than 10 lakhs, 5 to 10 lakhs, 1 to 5 lakhs, less than 1 lakh. Okay, great. Okay, so the last question before we begin with the speaker session. Question 3. Which Amazon ads products have you used so far? Sponsored products, sponsored brands, sponsored display, DSP. Okay, guys, thank you for participating. Now, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce to Shrikar Adavi. Shrikar is a seasoned leader with more than 17 years of professional experience across telecom, FMCG, and e-commerce. He currently works as head of scaled advertiser initiatives in Amazon India ads business. His team leads product-led GTM in building simplified and scalable ad solution for 1 million plus SMB sellers on Amazon.in marketplace. Over to you, Shrikar.
Thank you, Sejal. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining. And first of all, thanks to AdYogi team for giving this opportunity to meet a lot of existing and prospective advertisers. So today, first of all, I was just going through the poll in terms of what kind of audience we have. What it takeaways we have a, I think, fairly mixed audience today, fairly advanced advertisers as well as some of them who are like less than 6 months dabbling with multiple products. So what I'll try to do over next 20 minutes is to modulate my session somewhere. I'll keep it somewhere in the middle. I don't want to make it too basic that people will say that, okay, we didn't learn anything new. But I also will try to avoid getting into too much of arcane details. Let's see how it goes. Again, thanks again for this opportunity. So I have a presentation deck. I will use that for today's discussion. Once in a while, I'll also try to interact over the chat window. Uh, First things first, let me just give me a minute, please. I'm just setting up my screen. Okay, super. Thanks for that. Okay, what's the purpose of today's session? I've tried to break down the agenda into three parts. Let me know if all of you are able to see my slides moving. One second. Okay, a lot of things on the agenda slide, but broadly we'll discuss three things. A little bit more about what is Great Indian Festival, what have we learned from last year. Secondly, how it can help most of the growth stage brands. Third is what are specific things to do. That's like the crux of the session, right? I would hope some of you will take back specific actionables out of this 20 minutes. So the three things. Okay, let's get started. Let's start with a recap about Amazon Great Indian Festival. So in fact, I was asking some of the advertisers whom I met in Delhi recently, what do you remember about last year's Great Indian Festival? There were many answers, but the answer which stuck to me was double door refrigerator. So the advertiser was saying that the only thing I remember is I finally got a great deal on double door refrigerator I was waiting for. So I'm sure all of us will have those personal stories of finding great deals during Great Indian Festival. But it meant a lot for a lot of brands last year. I'm going to give a quick recap. I hope my slides are moving. Sejal, you can just say yes in case you're. Okay, super. So what you see here is what happened last year on Great Indian Festival. Essentially, all the fashion categories to all the personal care categories to large appliances across the spectrum. Amazon being an everything store, you will see the kind of spikes we saw in those categories, and everywhere you'll see a 2 to 3x, even going up to 10x kind of a jumps versus a BAU period. BAU is business as usual period. So that was the Great Indian Festival last year. So in fact, if I have to describe it, right from buying things for the festive season to preparing ourselves to decking up the houses to even a security camera to plug it in before we leave for a holiday or a long break so that the house is safe. So it the spikes span across the spectrum. So it is relevant for all brands, all advertisers is the takeaway from here. And there were some very interesting categories here. So we saw a very clear trend towards premiumization, premium beauty products coming up. But every year there's something new which happens. Last year, something new which caught our attention was vehicles. So how many of you would realize that Amazon is now a large destination for electric vehicles, right? Both lead generation as well as selling of electric vehicles. That's something which kind of popped up last year as a surprise, and it's kind of spiking month after month this year. I think it's going along with the industry. So all in all, last year was a phenomenal season where the spikes were anywhere from 2x to 10x versus a normal period and across all categories. That's a takeaway from these two slides. Now, let's talk about the current 2024 Great Indian Festival. Okay. Before we jump into this time before the festival, we went and we did an offline survey. We went to multiple cities and directly asked customers in all the cities on what are you planning for this peak season. So some very interesting results are coming out. This is relevant for all the brands. Okay. Point number one, 62% of our shoppers are saying that they're going to spend more than what they've done last year in this festive season, right? Uh, by the way, if there's any doubt on this number, I think all of you should just look at Bajaj. I don't know how many of you applied for the IPO, the Bajaj housing IPO. It got us the kind of numbers Indian retail market is now talking of 69 times oversubscription. So at least whatever doubts I had on whether the survey is right or not, because we did it in July. So I think those are kind of removed once we look at what's happening outside the e-commerce industry in general in terms of where our economy is going. So this is going to be a season where customers are waiting for bigger shopping wallet sizes than the last year. What is more important is there is a very clear trend towards premiumization. So almost 50% of the customers are saying they're going to buy things which are more expensive than their usual purchases. Right? If you take my own example, at home, like till 2 3 months back, if you ask me what are different types of bedsheet, I would not even know. But right now, I can tell you what is a 1,000 thread count bedsheet versus a 300 thread count bedsheet. Somewhere this discussion started at home, and I've done so much research on Amazon, and I'm waiting for the right deals to go and make these purchases. So across categories, you are seeing premiumization. Again, this is important for brands who are already selling premium products or planning of new launches and getting them to specific escape velocity this year. Yeah, 70% of the customers whom we spoke offline in terms of how are you going to start your journey, where are you going to start your research, 70% of them are saying that they'll use Amazon to research and know more about these products. That's where your research and search phase comes into picture before they make the purchase decision. And by the way, this is rubbing off into offline also. So Amazon is becoming a primary search destination for customers to discover and understand more about the products that they want to buy. So these are some interesting trends which are giving us a lot of hope that this year this GIF is going to be the biggest, best ever GIF, and all the positive signals so far in the run up are in the same direction. Now coming to the point, so far all that is fine. What did we say? We said last year we saw 2x to 10x growth across categories. We saw there are some new categories like popping up, new demand patterns which are popping up. Then we said this year customer surveys are telling us that they are ready to spend more on festive season. They are looking for premium products. They are in their exploratory stage. So these are multiple things I have covered so far. Now the point is, how does all of that matter to the audience who are sitting here? So this is where I've tried to bring out three specific learnings on how this kind of peak events, we call them as tentpole events, how are they relevant for brands like you? Three things. Point number one. So while I'll talk about what is there on the slide, I want to ask a question on my where I will request people to respond on the chat window. When can you say that your brand is growing? What is an indicator for you to say that your brand is growing? Any guesses? There's no right answer. Any guesses are fine. I would request the audience to type on the chat. High search volume, super. Vruti Tikyani said that. Thanks. Very relevant to what I'm looking for. Thanks for that. My question, how do you know your brand is growing? Sales and revenue? Yes, superb. Share of voice? Chayan Khatri is saying share of voice, superb. Yeah, VG is saying traffic. You mean traffic to your brand? Yes. Anupam Yadav said word of mouth, super relevant. Sales. Yeah, cool. So we get Mahan is saying sales. So in fact, yeah. Oh, organic ranking. Somebody said organic ranking. Yeah, super interesting answers, right? Again, as I said, there are multiple answers, multiple ways to know. It's like, how do we know we are healthy, right? There are multiple answers to know that. How do you know a brand is growing is something like that. But I want to share an anecdote which I have learned, which stuck to me in my career. So before e-commerce, I was working in a biscuit company. My job was to drive sales and distribution for biscuits. So our CEO used to tell us only one thing, saying that your job for this brand to grow is to get this biscuit be tasted by as many customers as possible, right? He was saying the most important thing for the sales and distribution team is to get the biscuit to be tasted, bring the biscuit to the lips of the customer. Then the work is between the product, the taste and texture of the product, and the customer's tongue. But point is, for a brand to grow, he used to say that get as many customers to taste the biscuit whenever we launch a new product. I know in an e-commerce discussion, it looks funny that we are talking of biscuit, but he was trying to make this fundamental point that it all boils down to the number of customers associated with your brand. That's the fundamental truth of a brand growth. Sales is a lead indicator. Many of the answers here are lead indicators, absolutely valid. But if you look at a 6 months, 1 year, 3 year time frames to see, essentially brand growth is as simple as number of customers who are coming and joining the brand, which means new customers who are coming to the brand and old customers who are sticking around to the brand. So I'm calling this out because in our day-to-day running around in e-commerce, even in multiple Amazon metrics, so I noticed that some of this, how many customers my brand has and are they growing or not, generally that metric takes a backseat, hence I'm calling this out. Now, why am I telling you all this story, right? Uh, Let me move my slide, please. Yeah. Now I'm linking. Why did I tell you that story? So number of customers that a brand has is the fundamental indicator or a long-term indicator of health of the brand. And GIF is a time, it's a time for new customers. So this is a mental model I would request all of you to think deeply about. What is the purpose of these events for brands, especially in growth stage? Yes, obviously to drive more sales during that period. Yes, but at the same time, these are opportunities where a lot of new customers are coming and discovering new brands. So for a brand, this is a time to attract new customers. So if I were you, I'll fix my metrics, I'll fix my dashboards just to track how many new customers am I getting, right? JF gives that opportunity for customers also. They are more willing, we saw it in the survey, to discover, to explore even an unknown brand, to try out an unknown brand because of deals or because of various discovery patterns. This is a huge flux which is going to happen, and it's an opportunity to add more customers to your brand. This is point number one. Laboring upon the same point, a new customer, all of you, I think I saw some of the sample names here. Many of you talk the CAC versus LTV ratio language. I'm aware of that. So this is Amazon data where across categories you see a customer whom you acquire. The value of that customer over 2 year period is around anywhere between 6x to 12x. I'm clarifying the obvious thing. Many of you know this in your existing offline business, also existing D2C business, also. However, that holds true for Amazon as well. The customer is something that you acquire. Purpose of a peak event is to bring more customers, and then the value of the customer can is spread over like 6 months, 12 months. There's a residual impact which comes. Hence, the focus is to bring new customers during peak event. Point number one. So I said I'll tell you three things of why these events are relevant for you. Now I'm moving to the second part. There's a complex graph on the screen. What this says in simple words is forget what's there on the left hand side, just look at the right hand corner of the graph. If you start at the next level in your daily business, the event happens, let's say it happens for a few weeks, the event ends. If you are at a, let's say, 100 units baseline, it won't remain at 100 units again. The baseline shift happens. Why would Amazon put all the effort to create such a huge impact and customer base and bring so many customers and create this event, right? One is, yes, the performance of the sale event, but I would call it more importantly, there's a baseline shift which happens, and these are averages. For successful brands, the baseline shifts are much, much, much higher. So that's what this graph is saying. This graph, if you observe carefully, if you start with a certain x-axis during the event, by the way, there's a further difference between those brands who advertise and those who don't advertise, but both of them are rising up. All boats rise when the water level rises, right? Advertising gives further uplift. Once the event is over, that's where the residual impact of around 1.5x remains. This is not scientific, but this is a heuristic I've seen, and we loosely discuss this in a lot of offline conversation. Whatever is your Diwali run rate will become your BAU for next year, before next year Diwali. This is a common saying we have. I mean, a lot of advanced brands and advertisers also acknowledge this fact. I'm repeating this. The run rate you achieved during GIF this year on a daily run rate will become your BAU run rate for next year. By next year exit, I'm not saying immediately. So that's an indicator. And why does this happen? Because a lot of new customers come and start attaching to your brand, and the goodness of your brand brings the repeats. So this was point number two. Point number one, I said a lot of new customers. This is the time. Point number two, I'm saying this creates a baseline shift. Point number three, again, this don't worry about complex graphs. I'll explain this. All it says is that this is a season. If you have new launches, give them that escape velocity, because you have multiplied counts of customers coming and willing to check out your products. For new launches, I'm not saying new launch. This is the time to kind of completely be successful on selling your new launches. This is the time to bring your new launches to a baseline sales value. Okay, the baseline sales value we calculate is whatever is the midpoint of the category sales. So essentially, I call it in simple language just the escape velocity after which the product will take off. To bring that, this is the season. What you see on the slides, I'll explain the right hand side of the slide first. In this season, even if you do not advertise, if you're just having the right inventory and right hygiene, it generally takes 12 weeks for a new ASIN which gets launched, new SKU which gets launched to reach a baseline level. And by the way, with right advertising, search advertising plus display advertising, you can achieve that baseline in 4 weeks. So I'm making two big points. One is this is the season for you to give the escape velocity for some of your new launches, right? Second, by using the right advertising strategies, you can actually achieve that escape velocity in 4 weeks if it is search plus display, 9 weeks if it's only search. So, but all in all, this is a time to try out new thing. I mean, to give oxygen to your new essence. So these are the 3 points which I made. Now, a recap what am I saying so far? I'm just explaining why should this Great Indian Festival be relevant for you, right? Now, yeah, this is the core of our discussion, right? In terms of, okay, so far we understood that what customers are thinking about 2024. Why should this be relevant for you? Now, what are few things to do, right? Here is where I'll try to make it a bit more interactive as possible. Okay. What are few things that all of you should do? Okay. First thing, start now, right? It looks very obvious, uh, but I'll explain why it's not so obvious. So, sorry, once again. Sorry, 1 second, please. Okay. This is a quiz question so that it's not becoming a monologue. How many days of what is the path to purchase for a bed sheet on Amazon? You might be wondering why is this guy talking about bed sheets? It's top of mind. We are trying to find some deals. But quiz question: how many days does it take for a customer to decide and purchase a bed sheet on Amazon, right from research to final purchase? People can type on chat window. Just any guesses is fine. 7 days, single day, 10 days, 2 days. Okay, I think we have more decisive audience here versus the average. 35 days. Ruti is saying 35 days. We're somewhere in that range. So the answer is 23 days. I'm talking of real data. It's that's the path to purchase of a bedsheet. What am I saying here, right? I'm saying the start now looks very obvious, but point is most of our customers have started the research phase much before. Almost when we did this research, 63% of the customers we spoke to said they have done started the research phase in August. 78% said they have done it they've already started in September. And then, so that means there's some amount of pre-research going on. So it's important that we start becoming part of their awareness set and consideration set. Uh, Even now, we have few more days. The dates are out. We still have a couple of weeks, maybe roughly 10 days to go for the event. I would request all the pre-work and going live with your respective ad campaigns should start now rather than waiting for the D-Day, right? Still, just one question. There's a someone who was I seen who has raised the hand. Would this work, or should we do this at the end of the session? Maybe I'll try to wrap up and then take the question. Is that okay?
Sure, sure.
Okay. Sorry, folks. I just noticed somebody raised, but I couldn't see the name on my screen. But I'll try to wrap up in 15 minutes and maybe take any questions if possible.
We will anyway will be taking the questions in the end of the session. After,
Okay.
yeah, so we will be taking the questions at that time.
Understood. Understood. Okay. Sorry, folks. So I'm saying the start now part, right? Let me talk of some tactical things now. Like all of you are seasoned, uh, you have been there, done that on Amazon ads. So what is it that I'm saying? First thing where we see a lot of back and forth which happens during the event is the content play. What you see on the slide, the summary of what you see on the slide is content. Your creatives, your videos are super important. And these are some things in middle of your peak event. You're managing an FBA inventory to stranded inventory to multiple other things to back or bringing more supplies to. In middle of all this, generally we see a lot of struggle and slippages for brands who are not ready with the entire content, the factory of content. Right? I just classified everything on content. Uh, Simple video creatives give 3x more engagement. I think many of you know this already, right? A product or a brand video gives one out of five shoppers are taking the final decision after having the video. Well, okay, not just this, not just about videos, but even a simple sponsored brand advertising requests you to put allows you to put lifestyle imagery, right? A lot of that work, it's super difficult. I've seen many practical cases where people are struggling to upload the right creative, right change if some creative is not working, then they're going for a 3 to 4 days of turnaround time to change the creative. So I would say even in the available time, let's talk only now. Let's say we have 9 days left. Let's talk only from that perspective. Start now means decide what is the content factory, and please decide what is the content factory you want to go to this event with, and please create that readiness right now. So this is one suggestion. Other suggestion I have, I'm going back to the start now. I want to give one more example is fixing your campaigns, deciding which essence you want to bet on. Right? Generally, these discussions also we see happening after the event has started. Like some people remove their ad groups and try to create new ad groups and set up first time campaigns in middle of the event. So some of these things can be avoided if you for folks who have not already done this. I'm saying obvious things, but for folks who have not already done this, I would say start with your portfolio, a portfolio plan in which you decide who are your must wins from an ASIN perspective. Out of 100 ASINs, maybe these are like your opening batsmen who are the ones who will really kind of give your the takeoff. Please also decide which are the good to wins. And fix your campaigns and campaign structures is one part of it. And fix the respective, if you say you have five ASINs who are must wins, right? Do you have the right SB ads set up for this? Do you have right video ads set up for this? Do you have the right creators for the display if you're running display? So make all those decisions now. That's the start now part of it, is what I'm saying, rather than making changes in middle of the event. Second thing, look at multiple ad formats that Amazon offering as an opportunity on how you can leverage them. Okay. What you see on the slide right now is just a, a huge suite of offerings which many of you might be aware. I saw that poll which said I think almost 30 odd percent of you already said you even tried display ads, which is superb. So you have this bunch of products, but I've seen some of these conversations becoming during the event becoming a bit more tactical. Okay, we have to do video, so let's switch on video for two ASINs. But at the same time, that ASINs will not carry a deal. You're running deal on some 5 6 ASINs, but those deal ASINs are not on advertising. So I'll give some more examples. But if there's one thing I want to park with the team today in this theme is it's always better to do things together. You have to break the clutter for your must-win ASINs. So use multiple ad formats rather than spreading thin. Do few things, but do them well with multiple ad formats is what I would say. If there's a trade-off you need to take, nobody has infinite resources, infinite budgets. So I would say take few ASINs, must-win ASINs, but try to place them in multiple ad formats for multiple purposes. I'll explain that a bit more. And I'm not saying this is not an opinion. There's data which is backing this, which is what you're seeing in the current slide. What is the slide telling us? What is the uplift you see during a peak event? Whenever you run an advertising on an ASIN, you see around 17% jump in sales, ads driven sales. However, if for that same ASIN you run a sponsored product campaign as well as a display campaign, you see a 36% jump. And why would that happen? Because a display is reaching out to a customer when the customer is not actively searching, but it's kind of raising awareness and coming into consideration. And finally, when the customer is thinking, let me search and think of buying something, you're also showing an ad. You are giving consistent communication. That's what you see uplift on. Again, what is relevant? I'm not saying do everything. I'm saying in a finite time and energy and resources, do few things, but do them well. Use multiple formats, they're always better. And it's not just about ads. This is what the next slide is. Many of you, I'm sure, are putting a lot of effort in running deals on Amazon, right? Deals, coupons. That also is a lot of effort which is going in. But all I'm saying is, if you're running an ASIN with a deal, please ensure you're running a ASIN plus a deal plus an advertisement, especially sponsored brand advertising. It gives a phenomenal clutter breaking impact, and that's what you're seeing in the results also. Even deal is not cheap, right? You're paying certain money to run a deal, you're lining up inventory, you're giving offer to the customer. Then I'm saying taking many half steps versus take one full step. This is a little bit prescriptive, just in case it works for some of you, is what I'm venturing out and sharing here. Again, building on same theme, right? When you run videos, please also try to link it to your brand store. When you run sponsored brand campaign, please link it to brand store. Before that, please ensure you clean up your brand store. A lot of branded searches. Somebody, in fact, answered in my poll. When you say what determines brand health is number of brand searches eventually. Brand store has a direct impact on that. It's an opportunity for you to tell your story. Why do you want to go to the event with anything less than a beautiful, perfect brand store? Right? And there's no cost involved for that, right? There's no charges for customers for going and browsing inside a brand store and discovering your products. It improves your range selling. So all in all, what am I saying so far? I'm saying better together. Take your must-win essence, build it on multiple ad products, set up your campaigns. That's what you can use this remaining time before GIF for. Third one, this is actually my favorite one. This is something. Stay consistent. I'll try to make it a bit more tactical and practical basis. Some examples that we see. What do I mean by this? Stay consistent. Let me jump. Let me jump into the first slide. Okay. All of you, if you actually take a couple of steps back and see what do you keep doing in those peak days? What are your frontline teams doing on those peak days? Bulk of the time is going into checking the bids, checking the ROAS, tweaking budgets, checking what is going out of budget and making changes. So especially the teams which are working on marketing, on the performance marketing part, this is what bulk of their effort is going. And and out of budget, even after running these events for like so many years, many advertisers still go out of budget is super common, right? And I that's more of an opportunity for you not to go out of budget. Especially, again, this is something which I'm saying more out of seeing a lot of anecdotes. If you have a choice to make, there's no infinite budget, you have finite budget. If you have a choice to make on cutting down bids or stopping a campaign, which one will you choose? Let me hear out how the audience is thinking. So my question, if you have finite budget and you have to decide between cutting down bids of a campaign or stopping a campaign, which one will you do? Okay. So two for Vruti and Ayush said reducing bids, and I think I'm not able to see the full names. I think Santosh is saying stopping the campaigns. So my suggestion in a situation of finite resources and time and energy and money, I would I would request to go for reducing bids rather than pausing campaigns or just letting the campaigns go out of budget and they are not replenished. Right? Why do I say this? Because Amazon ads work on an auction system, right? Where a bunch of brands, it's generally the tortoise and hare story. All of us remember this, the childhood story, right? So a lot of folks come with all efforts. They set up campaigns, they set up budget, but they forget the fact that the Amazon traffic is going to rapidly spike. This is a real time thing. When this is rapid spike in traffic, more customers are coming, more clicks are happening, consumption happens in a jiffy. And even best of campaigns are going out of budget. So in an auction system, the next in line campaigns will start showing up. So I'm sharing this as a tactic. If you have to decide, please go for like keep the campaign live, but with a reduced budget, so that even when other brands are going out of budget in an auction system, you always at least leave an opportunity on the table for the campaign to surface, right? Within the cost constraints that you have set up. Okay. Recently, I was talking to one of the advertisers who I met in Hyderabad in one of the event. So generally, he was describing that if he has to describe what are the problems that they face in managing this entire peak event from an ads perspective, right? He described it in two sentences. He said, first is starting trouble, second is staying trouble. Okay. So what does that mean? Uh, and it's very true. Like starting trouble, what I mean by that is I see many brands, they're waiting for the event to start. And generally, after like 2 or 3 days, the general response is okay, let's see how the sales are happening and then improve, then set up our campaigns, then kind of improve our campaigns. So, but what that leads to is an opportunity loss of 3 to 4 days. The first 3 4 days where there's a traffic spike, and spikes are coming at any multiple points of time in a day. Whenever there are app notifications going out to millions of customers, multiple reasons traffic spikes happen. Generally, the reaction time I see, no matter how many discussions we do, is generally the first 3 4 days is where there's a gap. Again, I'm trying to make it as practical for this audience today, hence I'm sharing these anecdotes. So I would request you to set up your campaigns in advance, okay, so that the campaigns, and you can, by the way, use budget rules. You can set up your campaigns in such a way that the campaign good performance, you can decide the campaigns and you can set up a rule saying that on this days, please multiply by budget by 2x or 3x or whatever that multiple is. You can set the rule today so that nobody needs to come to office on a Saturday or nobody needs to kind of react in a hurry and do that. On top of it, you can even layer performance based rules saying that if my campaign is performing at an ROS greater than, let's say, 5, please increase my budget by XYZ percentage. Right? So that leaving, you're not just keeping it as an open-ended rule, but I was saying you're linking it to performance. So I'm saying these are features I would just request you to explore. You can talk to your partner team as well on how this work. So I'm just trying to move the slide. Okay, so this is an example. Okay, what I spoke of in budget rule. By the way, these are still, I mean, these are right now in Ad Console. All of you will see these features in Ad Console. You can play around with it, right? You can choose when a campaign can spike. But I'm saying use this. You all of you have teams to do multiple tasks, but at least ensure the first 3 days, which is an obvious miss which is happening for many brands. In the first 3 days, while you wait for the sale, right? Ensure your rule kind of spikes the budget if you are not able to do it yourself, or at least set up a performance rule saying that okay, spike my budget if you are able to see XYZ things. That's one thing. Second, second thing which I'm making in the same theme is please stay consistent throughout the season. This event will happen through multiple weeks. generally what you see is it starts with a huge enthusiasm. People expect certain results within like 24 hours. So for some it works, for some it doesn't work. But point is, it's a multi-week, multi-spike. Think of it, it's like a sine wave which is coming and going. When Amazon is coming up with multiple themes to bring customer interest back and back again over multiple weeks. So, but it's important, this what you see on the slide is advertisers who have been consistent with their strategy rather than start and stop. They are seeing almost 6.8 times better results versus those who are inconsistent, right? Does that mean you spend infinite money on advertising? I'm not saying that. But once you have a must win campaign, once you have an objective decided, then ensure that at least to an extent possible, those campaigns are not randomly started and stopped for intraday results. Remember, this is also one more point. Customer decisions also happen over these multiple weeks. It won't happen in a half a day, right? Just be a little bit more watchful, especially when you're taking intraday decisions. Right? As I said, a bedsheet today takes 23 days of a customer research to search to purchase journey. So you have to play between taking balancing multiple products, multiple ad formats within a limited budget to give results, but with the macro point of view of maintain consistency for this few weeks. It will be around 4 weeks roughly. Like just mention that consistency makes a lot of difference, right? Okay. I think I'm coming to more or less an end of my monologue. Three things I'm trying to say. Start now, fix your retail basics, decide your must wins, get their inventory and other things. I didn't speak about it in detail today. But specifically when it comes to ads, fix your creatives. How do you want to tell your story? Fix that work today rather than waiting for the event. Second thing, do few things but do them well. If you are running a deal, run an ad. If you are running an SB, mix it with SD. If you are running a video, link it with the store. So bring multiple formats to tell your story and break the clutter. Third thing is stay consistent, maintain your campaigns, use rules wherever possible, but the success, the nuance lies in how somebody is able to maintain for like 4 weeks, at least for the important ASINs which they have. This is this is pretty much it. I'm coming to the end of my session. This is the last slide, which is a checklist. I'll leave this with the IDOG team as well. Essentially, it says more or less a summary of whatever I'm trying to say. There's a lead up period. We are in the lead up period. By this time, decide which are your must win ASINs. Are they in the right campaign? And ensure you switch on SB, SBV, SD, multiple other product attribute targeting, a bunch of things. Switch it on. Don't wait for the D-Day, right? You can switch on with budgets. You can increase budgets later, but switch on the campaigns now. During the event, use the rules, use the budget rules, try to take trade-off decisions on bids versus budgets. And the last thing which I did not speak of so far is re-engaging. Purpose of the event is also to create residual impact. Do not forget there's a huge remarketing capability available right now with sponsored display. For folks who are not yet, for DSP gives more advanced capabilities. I'm not talking about it right now, but even sponsored display in one button click, you can do a lot of remarketing efforts, right? That's pretty much from my side, folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Shrikar, for sharing such valuable insights. It's clear that with the right strategies and tools, brands can truly maximize their success this festive season. Let's now move forward to our panel discussion. So, before we dive into the panel discussion, let's do a quick poll. Okay. How often do you use data driven insights to inform your Amazon marketing strategies? Daily, weekly, monthly, occasionally, never. Okay. I would request everyone to please participate in this poll. Great. Now, let's dive into our panel discussion on leveraging data and technology for Amazon success, even perspective. In today's competitive e commerce landscape, using data and technology effectively is crucial for driving results, especially during high impact events like the Great Indian Festival. To help us break this down, we have an expert panel with us today. Reshu Huda, Amazon advertising specialist, and Arun Goyal, co founder at Yogi. Together, they'll share their insights on how brands can leverage data and technology to maximize success during the Great Indian Festival. First up, we have Reshu Huda. Reshu works as Senior Ad Sales Manager with Amazon and leads a team responsible for building partner ecosystem for Amazon India ads. Her team works with external agencies and tools partners in helping them serve advertisers with right servicing models. She has spent more than 9 years in Amazon across roles such as category management, new seller acquisition, and ads. And finally, Arun Goyal, co founder at Yogi. A seasoned expert in e commerce strategy and operations, Arun brings a wealth of experience in marketplace strategy with experience at companies like Reliance Retail and ShopClose as CPO. He has been instrumental in driving growth through product ideation, strategy, and execution. As a Union Joint Secretary, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, he has instrumental in formulating e-commerce public policy. Let's begin with the discussion. So, Reshu, a question for you. Given the current economic and consumer trends, how do you anticipate the Great Indian Festival to perform this year? Could you share your predictions on audience spikes, the primary categories driving sales, and any notable shifts in consumer behavior compared to previous years? And what new features or offerings does Amazon provide for brands and advertisers this year?
Sure. Hi, Sejal. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining and thanks for having me here. I think a bit of it, Sejal, Shrikar did cover in his presentation, which talks about how Great Indian Festival is sort of the biggest festival of biggest sale for Amazon. I'll maybe share a little bit of tidbits, a couple of points that he did mention, but I still want to repeat. So why Great Indian Festival is bigger? Because when we ask consumers how are they looking at it, they answer us that most of the consumers are planning to increase their budgets by 30% or more this year. So last year, if they spent 100 rupees, they're planning to spend 130 rupees when they're going to shop on Amazon. So which is a great sign. Second, if you ask 2 out of 3 customers want to either buy something to gift someone from Amazon or they are planning to buy for their home or self. So which means that consumers are gonna come on Amazon and they are going to buy. Now, like a little bit of tidbits about what sort of growth did we see while we did see some category level spikes in the first presentation. But if I just lay out the land, in Great Indian Festival 2023, in the first 24 hours of the sale, we had 18 times spike in the orders. That sort of shows the volume at which the growth of sales that happens during this festival. 80% of the new customers that we had last year were actually from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And there were 40 lakh customers that shopped for the first time on Amazon. So that talks about the kind of customers who are coming and looking for products. There were 5,000 plus products that were launched, new products launched by various brands. So the reason that I'm putting all these data points is to tell that, yes, there are consumers who are looking for great products. And then at the same time, there are brands who are selling on Amazon who are out there to launch new products, to have the right strategies in place. So in one line, Great Indian Festival 2024 is going to be bigger. Consumer trends are positive. We are going to have higher budgets from consumers. And all categories across home appliances, kitchen, home, ethnic wear, grocery, gifting will see equal or more spikes that we saw last year. What does it tell for the brands that have joined the session today? That because you have customers, you need to have a certain things that should be ready with you. And I think a bit of it that we covered in the previous presentation also, like we divided into 2 parts of it. What do you do it to keep your products retail ready? And then once you're retail ready, what do you do in advertising to sort of club it together and then have the best possible experience for customers? Yeah, so I think net, we are going to see an increase in the sales. And yeah, as long as the brands have their inputs ready from both ads and retail, they will see a phenomenal growth.
Thanks, Reshu, for those insights. Fascinating to hear about the expected changes in consumer behavior and the new tools. So now let's hear from Arun. Arun, from an agency perspective, what opportunities do you foresee for brands during this festival season, reflecting on your agency's experience with last year's Great Indian Festival and Prime Day? What strategies would you recommend for brands looking to maximize their sales and visibility this time around?
Okay, thank you, Sejal, for having me here. Okay, as an agency, we see a festival season, particularly the GIF on Amazon, as a massive opportunity for brands to capitalize on heightened consumer demand. So, from an opportunity standpoint, this period presents a unique chance for brands to boost not only their sales but also their visibility. The scale of the events means millions of customers will be browsing and purchasing online. And with Amazon's ecosystem being so dynamic, I think it's the perfect time to leverage data and tech to stand out. So when it comes to strategies, I would like to break it down into few key areas. And of course, Shrikar also mentioned this and Reshu also mentioned this in her response, that the strategy needs to be broken down into pre-event, during event and post-event. And leverage Amazon ads early. Brands should start their advertising campaigns well before the festival begins. We usually tell brands to do that 30 days before. Building brand awareness and creating anticipation is crucial to warming up your audiences. So utilizing, SP, all types of ad formats as sponsored products, sponsored brands, display ads through DSP can ensure the brand has presence across different touch points, driving visibility and traffic before the peak shopping days happen uh, during GIF. Uh, One of the data points that we have seen during that time is also to look at pre total sales data, but I'll come to that later. So also in the readiness, inventory and pricing readiness is also important for the brands. No matter how great the marketing is, if the inventory is not aligned, the brands are going to miss out. Either so they need to ensure that the stock levels are healthy and that the pricing is competitive. Amazon provides pricing insights that can help brands stay competitive while maintaining margins. Also, taking advantage of Amazon's deals and coupons to make products more attractive is important. So this is about inventory and pricing that they need to be prepared in the pre-buzz events. And also, while the event is ongoing, the festival season sees a lot of spike in both traffic and competition. So the competition also needs to be baked into the strategy. This is where leveraging data becomes pivotal. At AdYogi, we use performance metrics to constantly monitor and adjust campaigns in real time. For example, optimizing bids based on high performing keywords or analyzing conversion rates and looking at certain metrics that we can cover later and targeting repeat customers can yield significant results during the high traffic periods. Also, one of the important things is to focus on product listings. So to make sure that the product listings are optimized for search and conversion is important. This means enhanced images and bullet points that highlight key features, and also the video that Shrika was mentioning. The festival season brings a lot of search in searches, and having listings that both rank high and good and convert is critical. So A/B testing elements of your listing can give brands an edge. Also, the other important strategy that we talk about is leveraging retargeting and cross-selling. Festival season is not just about new customers, but also about maximizing LTV. Retargeting past customers using remarketing ads. So in DSP is the best example where you can create audiences. So audiences like very advanced audiences, people who have added to carts but have not purchased. So in post event is something that can be remarketed or retargeted, or people who have seen the product but not purchased. So that's the kind of audience and audience building that DSP provides. So that can be done. So retargeting past customers and using remarketing ads and cross-selling complementary products can significantly boost revenue and AOV. With Amazon's extensive data capabilities that Amazon has in its various tools like AMC or DSP, self-serve DSP, or marketing stream, brands can create very tailored campaigns to reach specific customer segments. So in short, the opportunity during the festival season is immense, but it's the brands that take the holistic, data-driven, personalized, and customer-focused approach will come out on top. Adyogi's role is to help brands with this strategy, be it through performance marketing, data analytics, automation, AI-based listing optimizations. They can make the most out of this critical period. Thank you.
Great advice, Arun. Your perspective on how brands can make the most of the season is very insightful. Reshu, you mentioned some updates that Amazon has introduced. Could you elaborate on the most significant changes or updates that brands should be aware of since the last Great Indian Festival? Specifically, are there any improvements in inventory fulfillment, product listings, or advertising services that can help brands this time over?
Yeah, so I think from Amazon, we are invested in ensuring that our fulfillment center network is getting up to date every day. The whole idea is that the same day delivery, the prime delivery is available to as many products as possible. So from that side, yeah, I think our team is taking efforts. I think I would rather want to touch upon a few additional things to what Arun mentioned. Some things in ads which probably were not there last GIF, and we should include that in our strategy. So when we're looking at our plans on including ads for ASINs, so we have a couple of ways to do that. One, that you identify your products into 2-3 categories. What are my top sellers? What are my challenger ASINs? What are my slow moving ASINs? And what are the new products that I'm launching? So I would recommend that each brand should carve out a strategy for each of these. What are the kind of sales target that as a brand I have for the next 30 days? It's a 30-day event, right? So you have to ensure that we have the budgets in line for each of these subcategories. That if you have a new product that you're launching, we need to set aside a budget that will only be used for awareness and consideration campaigns. The whole idea of running those campaigns at this time is to build as much audience as possible, because this is the time when you have increase in traffic. This is the time when you have increase in traffic from the audience that are interested in buying. So your conversions would be higher. So have that. I think some of the features that we did touch upon, Arun also mentioned that how video plays a role. How we see that whenever there is a sponsored display video or a sponsored brand video, they would have close to 1.6 or 1.7 times of CTR. More people will end up clicking on the ad, which means that more probability of your product being sold. When these things are there are new features that we launched over the year. I think many of the brands might be aware. Most of the customers on Amazon are mobile customers. The vertical video, when sponsor brand video, would work better. So we should look at that option. Similarly, I think Shrikar mentioned that how if you're running a sponsor brand campaign or if you're running a sponsor brand video campaign, link it to your brand store. Rather than just getting them to one ASIN PDP page, take them to a brand store, let that customer see your various products, let them build that consideration, add them to cart, etc. Another thing that we did mention during ART that, okay, we like whatever budget increase we have, I think on ad console now, there are a lot of additional data points that a brand can get. For example, you could get at a product level or at a campaign level, what is the kind of opportunity loss you are incurring because of not being in budget through the entire day. I can actually see that 70% of the time I was in budget, but the rest of the time I was not, which means that maybe when the peak time hit at 6 p.m. in the evening, your campaign was not live. So being a consistent advertiser is also important during the day so that when the customer is looking for your product, you are there. So ensure that for your brand, you work with your agencies or you work with your teams. You identify what are the peak times for your category, for your products. Ensure that you do not run out of budget there. Ensure that you have some consideration and awareness campaigns set aside with a separate budget where you're not looking at ROAS only, but you're also looking at building the audience for that product and sort of capitalizing it later by running a lot of remarketing campaigns. So yeah, these are few things which I think there's a lot of AI creative things that you will see, which is I think a lot of brands might be aware that you can actually create a AI generated image now, and it is launched in US. Very soon it will come in India also. So the idea is that as and when these things are coming in ad console from Amazon, I think brands should look out for new features and should capitalize on that so that they can include them in their marketing strategy.
Thank you for the detailed overview, Reshu. It's clear that the landscape continues to evolve and it's important for brands to stay informed. Now, over to Arun again for some more actionable insights. Arun, when it comes to leveraging Amazon's data and technology, what are the key metrics that brands should focus on to strengthen their marketing efforts? And what are some common challenges brands face when trying to use data driven insights effectively?
Okay, so thanks, Sejal, for the question. So brands can, significantly elevate their marketing efforts on Amazon by effectively utilizing the platform's vast data and tech tools available. Amazon offers a wealth of insight, that if used correctly can provide a strong competitive edge. So how brands can effectively utilize Amazon's data and technology? So, or metric, we can talk about it, but there I touched upon the various tools like Amazon's Campaign Manager, DSP, Marketing Stream, Amazon Marketing Cloud. Brands can use real-time data to fine-tune campaigns. The technology allows for precise targeting based on shopping behavior, interest, demographic data, purchase signals maybe, or interest signals. For example, you can target customers who have shown interest in similar products and even tailor creatives to speak directly to those segments. This is especially crucial in high traffic season when a personalized approach can drive higher conversion. But let's get to the metric very quickly. So we all brands and everybody, even at we concentrate on few metric which is important, but more than that. So ACOS, conversion rate, CTRs are important, but also at the same time, search term reports is important. These reports provide critical insights into which keywords are performing well and driving sales. They allow the brands to optimize their campaigns for high converting keywords and remove underperforming ones, especially during peak sale events. Also, we look at total sales data very closely, because during the event, what really happens is you can get hourly data from marketing stream, but the attribution has not really happened to the ad campaign yet. But the total sales gives an insight about how the ad really might be working, or campaigns might really be working. So it's important to look at the total sales data as well. Also to look at the inventory and sell-through rates. So for example, if you know the trends of how a specific, by looking at the total sales, how the inventory has been depleting in the last 7 days, during the event that how you can replenish the inventory, and the rate at which the inventory is going through, or the sell-through rates. So monitoring inventory levels and sell-through rates ensures that brands don't run out or run into stock out issues, right, during the festival. So you couple these with ad spend metrics, and you can help avoid over or under committing resources over there. So common challenges that the brands face is, one is overlooking the importance of real-time adjustments. Many brands set their campaigns and leave them running without continuously optimizing them based on real-time data. In a high traffic event like GIF, things can change rapidly. Brands need to monitor and adjust their campaigns almost hourly, I would say, whether it's a bid adjustment or keyword changes or budget adjustments, or revising promotional offers. Failure to do so can result in missed opportunities and opportunity costs. Sometimes what I've seen is, customer experience is also ignored. So while the data is invaluable, it's essential that brands don't lose sight of customer experience. Data might tell you to drive aggressive traffic to the page or to your brand store, but if your product descriptions, images, and reviews don't create trust, you will lose out on conversions. So it's a common pitfall in focusing too much on ad spend and not enough on fundamentals of product listing. So improving listings is important. Sometimes the metrics are, misinterpreted. Some brands struggle to interpret data correctly. For example, a high ACOS during high demand period may be acceptable if it's leading to greater overall sales volume in customer acquisition. On the flip side, a low ACOS might signal that you are not pushing hard enough to capture the demand. So understanding the context behind the metrics is key to making informed decisions. Siloed data is another problem, brands often fail to integrate insights from various sources. Like customer service feedback, reviews, product reviews, or insights from Amazon's tools, which provide those insights. This can lead to incomplete view of performance. So by integrating data from all touch points, brands can make more holistic and effective decisions. So in summary, I would say that leveraging Amazon's data and technology can significantly enhance a brand's marketing effectiveness, but it requires a strategic approach. Key metrics like ACoS or conversion rates or CTR should be closely monitored. Of course, even total sales, and brands must remain agile in responding to real-time data. Yeah.
Thanks, Arun. It's always helpful to hear about both the opportunities and the pitfalls so brands can be prepared. Now, for some tactical advertising tips for the festive season, we turn back to Reshu. Reshu, could you share some practical advertising tips for the upcoming Great Indian Festival? What are the key do's and don'ts that advertisers should keep in mind to ensure a successful festive season?
I think Sejal, it's sort of a recap of what we discussed. So I think I'll probably let people sort of remember the last slide that Shrikar mentioned, which has a pre-event, during event, and post-event. I think the first tip, and which is a must-do, is that you start now if you've not started already. The event doesn't start on, like, while the Amazon GIF starts on 26th of this month, but like the event has already started when it comes to building our audience through brand and different campaigns. So you start right away. Have a checklist on the retail inputs that we have talked throughout. Do you have the right listing? Do you have the right content? Do you have the strategy, how you're planning to run this GIF? Do you know what products you want to go aggressive on, what products you don't want to go aggressive on? Where are you going to look at ROAS? Where you're not going to look at ROAS? What is the kind of budget that you have decided that you will spend because you have a certain sales, the GMS number in mind? How much as a brand you want to grow? All of that needs to be done right away. You need to have some awareness campaigns on sponsor display, sponsor brand, and DSP, as and when those use cases sort of fit. That needs to be done right away in the next 10 days. Once those things are in place, the idea during the event is to really, really go aggressive on top of search for your top products. Wherever you can run remarketing campaigns, you run it so that you don't lose out the customer who has added your product into cart. It's really important to do that. Ensure that you're not running out of budget during the peak hours of the day. And the most important thing that a lot of times we just maybe just take it for granted, but a lot of brands miss out on, that you have to be a consistent brand with those campaigns throughout the 30 days. You might do great in the first 10 days when there is a sales spike, but there are customers who are looking for products on the 11th day, on the 21st day. There are topical categories that will spike during only a particular time. The lighting will spike during the third week. The gifting or the grocery and the chocolates will spike during the last week. So you need to have the budget strategy and the campaign strategy for all 30 days, keeping how much of budget you will keep on what days. But the idea is to not go out of budget and to ensure that your right products are being advertised, are being reached to the right advertisers when they're looking for that. So net refer to that last slide. And I think have a great GIF to all of you.
Thank you, Reshu. Excellent tips. I'm sure our audience will find these incredibly useful as they plan their campaigns. Now let's hear from Arun on emerging trends in data and technology. Arun, what are some emerging trends in data and technology that brands should be aware of, not just for this season, but for future peak selling periods? And how can Adiyogi help brands stay ahead of the curve and adapt to these evolving trends?
Okay, so Sejal, this is one of my favorite questions. So I'm always in technology and product. I love to talk about it. So, and it is not a surprise that anything and everything is now AI driven in some sense, thanks to the Gen AI or the LLMs which have been launched. So it has basically given a huge push in every use case, and advertising is one of them. So that is one of the most important emerging trend, and an important one because these trends not only create new opportunities, but also introduce complexities that brand must navigate to stay competitive. AI-driven advertising execution and optimization is on the top to be relevant for this topic of discussion today. So AI and ML are playing an increasingly important role in optimizing advertising campaigns. So not only that, they are also helping in executing certain campaigns. So AI is being used in every breadth of this entire ecosystem. Uh, so from making A plus content or optimizing the listings to recommendations about what products are being sold, uh, automated bidding that can be done, or dynamic pricing algorithms which are available as we speak right now even. And they give more precise control to brands on how ad spend is allocated. So that is one area where AI is coming and optimizing campaigns, really. These AI-driven tools can also predict demand spikes. So, you can adjust bids real time. That's an easy thing to do. But predicting demand spikes and optimizing campaign based on performance history is also, which is helping brands to make the most out of these campaigns or events. So brands can harness these technologies, will be able to react faster and be more effective than competitors. So if I were to talk about, just let's say talk about listings. So usually what happens is the content in the listings is certain features are mandatory, certain features are non-mandatory, they're optional. We use AI right now in AdYogi to extract features which are not populated, extract features, match them with the Amazon search terms, and create synonyms in the database and do the title optimization in such a way that the discovery is sought. So that is one of the use cases that we are solving in AdYogi. There are also emerging trends. There's VR. So voice search and conversational commerce is also a buzzword. It was a buzzword a couple of years back as well. VR and augmented reality and virtual shopping experiences are also coming along as e-commerce continues to evolve. Augmented reality is becoming a key technology to enhance online shopping experience. So I think brands that invest in creating this AR-friendly content can offer a richer customer experience and potentially see higher conversion rates. So these are the most important emerging trends right now. Of course, rule-based optimization, analytics, actionable insights is something that we have always been doing, wherein we are able to create smart ads based and automate bids and automate budgets based on our learnings and automate the recommendations that we can basically show to brands that this is what they have to do in the campaign if the campaign is not performing well. Or we also show to brands that what keywords are working very quickly in a 2x2 metrics. We basically say the hero keywords and stop loss keywords and put high potential keywords and then allocating budgets accordingly. So these are the few things that AdYogi is doing, helping brands to optimize and also have ad spends allocated in the right area at the right time in the right products and right keywords is something that we are always doing. And with AI, we are doing it much better right now. Yeah.
Thank you, Arun. It's clear that staying ahead of the curve is crucial, especially in such a dynamic marketplace. As we conclude, it's clear that leveraging the right strategies can lead to incredible results. While Amazon saw a 2.7x increase in GMV during the event, AdYogi achieved an incredible 4.2x growth during Prime Day 2024. A well executed three-stage ad strategy pre-event, during the post-event, coupled with spotlighting your best sellers on event days, can truly elevate your sales performance. A big thank you to our speakers, Reshu Huda and Arun Goel, for sharing their valuable insights.